From our beautiful studios here in Scottsdale, Arizona, this is Retirement News Online. We're talking about retirement today. What a surprise. And as you approach it or change jobs, deciding what to do with your 401k can have long-term implications for taxes, investment flexibility, fees, and even income planning. Now, a rollover may offer new opportunities, but it can also introduce some trade-offs that aren't exactly always obvious. Joining us is Bobby Russell with Strategic Capital in Austin, Texas. That's one of my favorite towns. That's a fun town.
Place.
Oh, man. So let's go back to the 401k. Now, what are the advantages of rolling it over compared to just leaving it in the plan?
Yeah, so rolling over a 401k, the advantages are inside of a 401k, you have very limited options. A lot of times they give you an investment menu of 20 to 30 funds, and those are the options that you have to choose from. If you roll it outside of a 401k into an IRA, then you have unlimited options that you can choose from inside of there. So it really opens up the investment world inside of the 401k, as well as fees. Depending on what your 401k's fees are, a lot of times you have control over those fees when you roll it outside of the 401k. So those are the two main advantages is investment world and fees associated with it.
I'm going to turn the clock back a little bit. For somebody who still has their 401k and they're still working, is there any advantage to having someone like you help them management in some way, despite the fact that there's some limited opportunities?
Yeah, there really is. We had a client who had her father set up her 401k for her when she was 18 years old, hadn't looked at it in 9 years, and the 401k hadn't been rebalanced, and so she was in a position where she having some management inside of her 401k really would make a difference. Even though there are limited options, rebalancing the 401k and depending on market conditions, choosing what funds you're picking inside of the 401k can really make a difference over the long run.
And I think so, going back to rolling it over, you have to do this right, obviously, because if you just decide to take a distribution and put it in something, there's some tax implications. Are there any other trade-offs that people need to be aware of?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Really, you got to make sure that you do it right. There's a certain time frame that you have to move the funds in. If you do, depending on what type of rollover that you do. I would say those are the kind of the things to watch out for is making sure the time frame and that you are doing it correctly, because you can get hit with taxes and penalties if you don't do it correctly.
And then, so after we roll it over, what are some of the implications, the costs, the fees, and the overall cost structure? How is that affected?
Yeah, typically it's reduced because you have control over it. You can decide, how much do I want to pay in fees, and you can interview firms and investment managers on what their fees that they're charging. So depending on what type of 401k you're coming from, your fees usually are lower when you roll it over to an IRA.
And then let's talk about how a rollover can affect income strategies, because you're in the retirement planning business.
Yes.
It's income, right, after people quit working, and so how does that affect that strategy, the income strategy?
Again, it really goes back to the investment options that you have inside of a 401k versus outside. Those investment options inside of a 401k may not have high dividend paying income funds. They may, they're only very limited on the funds that are inside of there. So when you roll it outside, there are different products that you can use for income purposes. There are different funds that you can use that provide higher dividends for income purposes. So there's just a lot more options outside. Everyone, I think, is comfortable with 401k because they've heard it all the time. They've had it throughout all their jobs. So they think that maybe leaving it inside the 401k is the best option. But once you see all the different menus that you have outside of there, it really makes a difference for someone.
Do you find it very often that people have 401ks that they forgot about?
All the time.
Really?
Yes. And so we can help consolidate those, and working with an investment manager really brings help to that, because they will call the different companies that you've been at in the past and be able to help roll those funds into a single IRA or into your current 401k. But yes, that happens quite often.
That's Bobby Russell with Strategic Capital. You're in Austin, Texas, so I used to work in Texas
Really?
in the media business. Yeah, Austin was one of my favorite cities because you could walk into a bar sometimes and and it's a dive bar and the Willie's on stage. All of a sudden you're like, dear Lord.
Yeah.
fun city.
I mean, you would think with the growth that it wouldn't be that way, but it still is. You'll come across just some random bar, and there's some legend playing. And,
Yeah,
it's an incredible
that's awesome.
experience.
What a great music town. So this is Retirement News Online. You can find out more at retirementnewsonline.com, and thank you for watching.